Welcome to the latest episode of 3 Point Landing's Quarantine Sessions. We are now in month, what is this, 2, 3? What month is this? What's today? Wait, it's May the 4th. Okay, it's May the 4th, and Star Wars is still a thing. I think movies are still a thing. We haven't been outside in so long. I've been doing nothing but playing video games. I think this is all part of Matthew's plot to turn me into him.
What?
Today, we're going to be talking about remakes and remasters of video games that we enjoyed, catch you up on what we've been playing, and, well, here we go.
Hey, Misha. All right, what's up?
What's up, Matthew? How you doing in quarantine?
I'm doing great. I'm doing bad. So, another night of 3 Point Landing. Happy May the 4th day to you, by the way.
And also with you.
We lift up our sabers to the George. It is right to give him thanks and praise.
May he live forever in flannel.
Thanks be to Lucas, our George. So May the 4th, do you have any plans for the rest of the month in terms of celebrating Star Wars?
Lots, actually. I mean, I'd love to say lots, but actually it's been pretty quiet today. I've been mostly working and stuff, actually. But then again, I was never the kind to, throw on a cloak and all that. Not like some people who get married.
Wow, bro.
No, they get married with lightsabers and, dress up for the occasion. Do we know anyone like that?
That would be me.
Really?
Misha's calling me out. He's calling me out for the fact that I had a Star Wars wedding 7 years ago.
Yeah. It looked like fun.
Yeah. It's cool because we didn't really want to go denominational anyway with the ceremony, so we just went with geek denominational.
Hey, it looked very fun. So, what else have you been up to? I mean, clearly you haven't just gotten married. That was 7 years ago. So, what have you been up to lately?
Lately I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, our review copy for review. Did you review it? I just finished it this morning, so I'm gonna start tomorrow, like writing it up. I got some notes and all of that stuff. But we'll be reviewing it. You'll be seeing it on the site hopefully by the end of the week. I know I'm not gonna be the first person to be reviewing Final Fantasy VII Remake, but that is, that's what happens when Sony gives you the copy on launch day.
So what did you think? I mean, I've been hearing a lot of things. I played through the demo a couple of months ago. I loved it. I mean, just from what I experienced in the demo, how far off is that from the actual game?
You know what? I'm not going to spoil anything about the game, but I'm going to tell you it's an astonishing tour de force. Like I am not a fan of the Final Fantasy series or Final Fantasy VII. And so, and I'm not even a big JRPG fan, but I took on this game because I thought I want to experience it as someone who is not like very enthusiastic about it. And it's great. It's so rad. Like, not just is it a good game, but it's a good game that's constantly in conversation with itself as a text. Without saying too much, Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't just take the original story and update it with brand new spanking AAA visuals and fully voice acted, spectacle.
Which they could have done.
Yeah, which they could have, if they did it beat by beat. And it does do most of the beats. Like, we would all have been happy. Earlier today, I actually just finished a spoiler cast with my friends at Too Much Gaming.
Right.
On the TMG podcast. We did a whole spoiler cast, and we kind of agreed that, if the game did not do any of the risks it took or changes it made, we would still have been happy. But we're happy even with all that stuff. And it's really worth playing because I think after this game, when they release the rest of the Final Fantasy VII series of games, because it's going to be episodic. I realize not everyone knows that.
You mean it's not done?
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake is not a complete retelling of the entire original Final Fantasy VII experience. It is simply a retelling of the first 10 hours of the game.
My life is a lie. I did not know that. Wait, so that means in a year I'm gonna have to buy like a deluxe box with everything included.
I don't know if that is the manifestation that it will ultimately take.
You know they're gonna do it.
But it is very probable.
You know they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I don't want to give up all that hard drive space for DLCs.
I know, right? And you know how I know you're buying physical most of the time, but
don't judge me.
No. I'm just bringing it up because so it's different for you. It's 85 gigabytes on the digital.
Yeah, but you're not counting on the future chapters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's already this fucking big.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I don't need that kind of pressure.
Yeah. Like, and I am echoing your sentiment. I'm saying if it's already 85 gigabytes, what's gonna freaking happen when the 3 or 4 or 5 parts come out, and suddenly we're looking at 250 to 360 gigabytes of hard drive space eaten up by Final Fantasy VII alone.
Okay,
and that's like everything on my piddling little 500 gigabyte PlayStation 4 hard drive.
Piddling. Okay, wait. I gotta ask. Did you play the original by any chance?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
How did
I didn't like it
up?
at all.
Really?
I didn't like it at all. I don't carry this point a lot because I don't feel like it's respectful or necessary for me to tell everybody that I don't like FF7. Which is if the game I like is the game you like. I don't like, therefore you must not like it. No, I don't subscribe to that horse crap.
No, I'm not even going that far. I just want to know. I just want to know if you have the frame of reference.
Yeah, I
to
do.
Compare what's new, what's different, what they did faithfully, what they translated well, that kind of thing. I don't care whether you like the old one.
Yeah,
it gives a little bit of insight, but I'm hoping. I like to believe that a good remake can stand on its own.
Oh, that's an interesting question, actually. Because so I want to speak to the first part. Yeah, I have a lot of I have a big frame. I have frame of reference to appreciate and understand the man when the game is like echoing the source material and making differences from it. So
right.
The other question you had is like whether a newcomer or a veteran will appreciate it. I think some of the vagaries of the game will be lost on newcomers. I think it's pretty newcomer friendly, but sometimes points will be peppered in the game that sort of indicate that there's supposed to be stronger resonance if you have already experienced this plot point before.
You're talking about fan service.
There is a bit of fan service at the end, but what I mean is like
fan service, Easter eggs, that kind of thing.
Can we take the spoiler gloves off? Not for Final Fantasy VII Remake, but for Final Fantasy VII, a 23-year-old game.
Wait a minute. You're saying, they don't have the same plot?
They do, but in order for me to talk about FF7 Remake, I would like to have permission to talk about FF7.
I don't think you need permission to spoil a 23-year-old game.
Exactly. So, thank you. So, we know, for example, that a pivotal character dies in Final Fantasy VII. And what the game does, the remake, is it sort of...
I love that you're tap dancing around it.
Yeah, they do sort of like visual like fake outs about that.
No, I mean you're tap dancing about calling out names and stuff. But okay, fine. Because I'm sure we're going to offend somebody at some point. So just be safe.
Yeah. So they do some visual fake outs on that. Or there is a character who exists in background lore of the game.
Right.
I'll spoil it now. I'll say no. Here, this one. Aerith has a boyfriend. She talks about this openly. It's not a big deal in the whole text of the game. She has a boyfriend, and in this version of the story, the boyfriend is invoked but never named.
No kidding.
And so for me, I'm like, oh, that's like they're talking about Zap, and for I imagine for some newcomers, they'll be like, who was that guy? Like, I don't get it. But was that supposed to mean anything to me?
Okay. Because here's my thing with remakes, okay? I don't care if it's a game or if it's a movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Ideally, if you're going to be doing a remake of something from scratch, like this one is, like Resident Evil 2, like Resident Evil 3 got, right? If you're going to be doing a remake from scratch, as opposed to just putting some fancy new graphics on the same old thing, remastering something that already existed, you better have something that you can contribute, to the lore, where you have something new to say, but there's some fidelity to what came before. Otherwise, what's the point? Because, you'll just be offending like two sets of people. You'll be offending the newcomers who don't get what all the fuss is about. You'll be offending the old people who wanted to recapture some of that nostalgic feeling.
Oh, okay. No, you know what? Then I can speak positively to Final Fantasy VII because I think 95% it stands on its own newcomers, but also it adds a little bit of stuff that's new. In fact, there's this side character in the Final Fantasy VII Remake who's not present in Final Fantasy VII. And he has a great line. He goes like, if you defeat all of his challenges, and this is a pretty tough thing to do, by the way, but it was revealed to me by a colleague. If you defeat all of his combat challenges, he'll do some info lore dump on you, but he'll also say something to the effect of, "It's nice not knowing how things will turn out for a change," he says, and that is
subtle.
And that is, without saying too much, that is the direction that Final Fantasy VII Remake has charted for itself. I don't think they will get rid of Costa del Sol. I don't think they'll get rid of the boat where the boat where Barret is. I don't goes on in the sailor outfit. I don't think they will get rid of the date sequences or anything like that. But they're basically saying, guys, we promise to tell the story, but give us this latitude to reinvent and reimagine things.
That's fair, I think. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's super cool. I look forward to the day that you play it because I think it's really exciting. I think the closest thing I can compare that excitement to is the very first time I watched the Star Trek 2009 reboot.
Right.
Before it was savaged by subsequent films, there was a sense of excitement and possibility.
Right. Because these are characters you knew and loved, but it's a new situations, new shiny ship, and I enjoyed that first one very much.
Yeah. So definitely there.
Because, like, for my part, if you're going to be doing a remake of any kind, you got to do justice to the original. If it was something good,
yeah.
But if you're going to be remaking something that was garbage, then I say go nuts. Do everything right that the old one did wrong. You know what I mean?
Or sometimes things are both. Like, for example, some games or some movies and video and TV shows are as a whole great, but there are problematic elements in them. So what you want to do is you want to recapture that magic, but you also want to redress past wrongs. And that's something that is a worthwhile endeavor, I think, to sort of all right, we're going to do this all over again. But that stuff, if we know you like this thing in spite of that thing, we're going to do it again. Except that in spite of thing, we're going to change that, hopefully.
That's right. I mean, one of my favorite shows ever was Battlestar Galactica, the 2005 version.
Oh, I love that show too.
Because if you look at that show and what it has to say about the human condition, politics, loyalty, honor, basically it was like Game of Thrones in space, okay? With just as much backstabbing and 100 times more lasers. But the show that it was based off of, it was like a late 70s Star Wars knockoff that, that was just terrible. I can't even watch 10 minutes of the original Galactica without, just cringing so hard. Because it's completely unironic, but it's campy as all hell because they didn't know any better. And the funny part is that they were so blatant about ripping off Star Wars, or at least some people thought they were, that they got sued for it.
Yeah. And you know what? The guys who made the Battlestar Galactica reboot series, Ronald Moore and David Icke and the like, I think they're very kind and very excessively sweet to keep talking about the 1979 series in a pseudo-positive light. They're always they're very gracious about saying, oh, what we did would not have been possible. I'm like, you don't have to do that, but I get it.
That's true. But okay, here's the thing. And that's where we go back a little bit into nostalgia. Because I figured those guys were 10, 12 years old when the original Galactica came out,
Fair.
So it hit them at the right age, I guess, to be less critical of that sort of thing. It hit them right in that sweet spot.
Yeah, we're talking a 24-year year gap between the reboot and the original series. So definitely, I think your estimation holds correct.
No, because like seriously, I mean, haven't you ever gone back to something that you loved back in the day, and you're just, what the hell was I thinking?
I don't. If I say I never look back, does that mean I'm not very self-aware, or does it mean I'm very confident?
You mean you've never revisited anything that you loved 20, 30 years ago and thought to yourself, what was I thinking? Never? It's never occurred to you.
The word is not never. More like it would require me to actually think about it. That's how deep I would have to plumb, I think. It's not I'm not trying to be boastful. I'm saying I think it's happened seldom enough that I had to really find it.
No, I mean, you don't even need to go far. I mean, like for me, I mean, you just look up old Thundercats episodes on YouTube and it's like, holy hell, what was I smoking as a child?
Oh, dear God.
Now you know what I'm talking about, right? Because like a lot of those old shows were, they were like 30-minute toy commercials and a lot of them don't hold up. Some of them still do. The Real Ghostbusters is excellent. I mean, that still holds up.
Because they got good writers for that show. Am I right?
They really did. Michael Straczynski, who created Babylon 5. Mm-hmm. And but things like Thundercats, honestly, aside from the opening titles, I can't get through an episode because it's just so cheesy. And I don't know if it was just the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia and happy childhoods, but not a single episode of that show looks anywhere near as good as the opening titles.
Yeah, and the voice acting is kind of off. Like, I think the guys are mostly serviceable, and if you give them the latitude of, if you give them like leeway and say like, well, it's the 1980s, this is a very different voice acting aesthetic. I think the ones who suffer the most with the hindsight are the women. The women they all sound like they all have these weird nasal voices.
Why do you sound like Skeletor?
That's what they sound like. They're like, some of the women sound like Skeletor.
You're so mean to Skeletor or the women. I'm not sure, but anyways. but
they do. I will look up old Thundercats clips and show you. Not that you probably don't want me to do that. Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'll take your word for it. But there are some instances of like shows that came out way back when and still hold up pretty well now, which makes you wonder why anyone in their right mind would even attempt a reboot or a remake. And one of those is Ducktales, because that is just hands down, that is brilliant, honestly. In either incarnation, I have no complaints.
You mean the new one? The
new one is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm not far into it. I'm not where I need to be in that series, but I watched like the first 10 episodes and I was like, fuck man, this is rad.
You have to see the new season, like seriously.
Yeah, I know the story goes places and the character and the lore goes places, and I'm like, oh my God.
Can I do a little bit of spoiler? No.
Yeah, fine. No problem.
Because this is something they announced at SDCC last year, so it's not really that big a spoiler because they put out a poster basically, right? And people noticed that in that character poster, there were a lot of familiar faces from old Disney afternoon cartoon shows. Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, Goof Troop, they were all there in this poster. Rescue Rangers. And the producers at SDCC, they promised everyone that you're going to see all these characters at one point or another. And I've already seen a few of them show up, and it is just amazing. They don't necessarily show up the way that you would expect or hope for, but they're treated with such respect that it's just incredible that they get away with it. It's clear that they're having so much fun making this show, and I look forward to every new episode. DuckTales is awesome.
Awesome.
Then and now. And that is something that you can't say for many things.
Yeah.
But that brings me to another category, I guess, of remakes, which is remasters of like video games.
All right.
And that ties in. I have a segue coming up. That ties into DuckTales because one of the last remasters I played was DuckTales Remastered.
Oh, nice. They put that back on the Steam store, I think. Like they took it down for a while, then they put it back up. It got knocked down. Got up again.
Okay.
Your hand, it keeps you down.
For anyone who's not familiar, right? For anyone who's not familiar, DuckTales came out on the old family computer, the old Nintendo. It was a Capcom side scroller. It was a Metroidvania style 2D platformer where you had to go to different areas and get new powers, and then you double back and you access areas you couldn't previously access. And all of it was done to look like the old DuckTales cartoon show, which is beloved by an entire generation. And for the remaster, like 20, 30 odd years later, I think it came out 2013, 2015, something like that. The remaster, what they did was they basically took the limitations of the old 8-bit family computer and they threw them out the window. Here,
Nice.
they redrew everything. They redrew it they actually animated it to look like an episode of the old show. And they got back the entire voice cast, everyone who was still alive, and they got them to voice their classic characters. But the gameplay was exactly the same, and it was awesome.
Nice.
And also, not for anything, I couldn't finish it to save my life back in the day. And just happy they remastered it because I finally got a shot.
Because this is the old days, what they call the days of Nintendo hard, right?
Those games were evil. How many Mega Mans have you finished? Okay, they're evil. In fact, this one has a lot of DNA, common DNA with Mega Man because it was the same developer. It was Capcom, and you go through a stage, you get a power up after you defeat the boss, and then you use that power up to access previously inaccessible areas. So it had a lot in common with that, and those games were notoriously hard, and they still are. But when you're playing with the DuckTales theme song behind you, you can't help but smile a little bit.
Yeah. No, but I really dig those games. I hope I might be uninformed about this, but I think the other Disney games have also been remastered.
No, none of them got the same treatment. They just updated them for 1080p displays.
Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping
they just
do
updated them,
Castle.
But they're still 8 bits. Don't get me wrong; they're still good games. You can get them now. But you can get Rescue Rangers, you can get Darkwing Duck and all that, but they all still look the way they did 30 years ago.
Yeah, fun fact, the person who was the artist for DuckTales was also the artist for Mega Man.
No kidding. Huh, that makes so much sense. No, that really does.
3-point landing.
But how about you? I mean, what other remakes have you been playing or looking forward to, or even just remasters for that matter?
Well, in addition to FF7 Remake, I actually also just finished playing the Resident Evil 3 Remake. Did I discuss this in the last episode? I feel like I did, or I'm just in too many podcasts now.
I don't know, but that's like the second time you plugged your other show, so maybe I should go listen to that.
No, but so the other game I reviewed right before Final Fantasy VII Remake was Resident Evil 3 (2020). I say that because unlike Final Fantasy VII, the word remake is not appended to the end of these games.
Right. Yes,
actually, just to go back to Final Fantasy VII Remake without saying too much again, it's called Final Fantasy VII Remake. The word remake at the end of that title is freaking deliberate.
What? Why? Why is it deliberate? Because this is not just a reskin.
It's not just a reskin. It's not just a retelling. Like the word remake, really sort of portends the future of that series. In fact, I think there's a lot of discussion right now about the future of the games and how they might call it the next game, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Final Fantasy VII Resurrected, that kind of thing. Because you can't put Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode 1. It just sounds like an awful clunky name, especially, you know what I mean? Another famous video game console series that I do not have long devotion or fandom for. And again, I took up the review duty for that. And Resident Evil 3, it's the one with Jill Valentine in it. I think Sienna Guillory played her in a movie. And
a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, a couple times. And
nothing particularly memorable.
No.
We'll go into that later, or maybe another day. Video game movies. Ugh.
Yeah, we should. Just so that we have an excuse to talk about Mortal Kombat. Am I right?
And Street Fighter.
Yeah. No, so sorry. Resident Evil 3 retells the story of Jill Valentine trying to escape a beleaguered and under siege Raccoon City while being hunted by a towering, hulking menace known as Nemesis.
Who used to be the titular bad guy.
Yeah, the titular bad guy. Yeah, because in the previous game it was called Resident Evil 3: Nemesis.
Right.
Yeah, and this is my first time experiencing that game.
You've never played Resident Evil 3?
I played it, but I didn't finish it. So this is the first time I probably played it completion.
But you know that horrible, horrible feeling when that guy is like breathing down the back of your neck.
Yeah, especially because,
especially since it controlled like a tank back in the day.
Yeah, and not just that, he also has a rocket launcher arm. And it's one thing when Incredible Hulk is running after you, or the Abomination, or even Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 is chasing after you and just going thoom, 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 and he's going to pound you with his fist.
Right.
It's another thing if it's the same thing and he has a rocket launcher for an arm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And a terrible skin condition.
Yeah. I'm kind of a newcomer to the whole thing, and I think this is a game that converted me.
Really?
I did not. Yeah, because like I said, no real fandom, but at the end of it, I was just like, I love you, Jill Valentine. You're my hero. You're my hero. You are your anger and frustration with all the fucking bullshit about being harassed by this thing. I feel you, girl.
Dude, she's having the worst day ever. Who wouldn't be pissed off?
Yeah, and when the game when I started playing the game, you already know I'm a big fan of Tomb Raider 2013.
We'll get to that. Okay, yeah.
Another reimagining.
Mm-hmm.
When Jill Valentine starts falling from great heights, thrown around by explosions, and narrowly dodging falling debris, I'm kind of like, wait, this is very, very familiar. It's a lot like another game I really love.
I don't know. I think you just have a thing for strong women.
Fair. I think so too. I think I relate to their angry energy.
Okay.
Because
yeah. No. No, you first.
Yeah. So because male characters in video games are often depicted as filled with steely, cool resolve. You know what I mean? But female characters, in the future, I hope, or even sooner, I hope the mold is broken. But for now, that's what we got. Male characters have steely resolve, and the female characters are all like, I am so sick of this shit. And you know what? Rightly so.
I don't know. Nathan Drake always struck me as more of Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China than anything else.
Definitely.
He's always in over his head. But I think that's part of his charm. That's why he stands out. Because you're right. Every other character is this granite-jawed, steely-eyed, tough guy.
Yeah,
like the hero in Days Gone or whatever.
Yeah, Days Gone.
Or 8 million other games.
Yeah, or even and no offense, and even The Last of Us is to some extent like that. Joel.
That is true, but that's why I was surprised that the story, despite 8 million cliches, somehow works. I mean, for all of its flaws, I was like, I really dig the writing on this.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry, I know it's not your cup of tea, but I really connected with it.
No, I wouldn't say forgive, but I would say I understand when this story connects with other people, and also just because I threw down a little bit of shade at Joel, it doesn't necessarily invalidate the entire story around him, because dunking on a character's cliche traits doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the story has suddenly become not worth experiencing. You know what I mean?
No, but seriously, even I was surprised, because I review movies for a living, and I'm trained to spot, tropes and cliches and that kind of thing. And this Last of Us had every single cliche and trope from every single zombie movie ever that you could think of, completely. And yet somehow they were able to make it into something, something that still some came across as entertaining and genuine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was surprised. I did not expect that.
And hey, don't get me wrong. As much as I'm making fun of right now the granite jawed, whatever, steely eyed, bastards. I I dig those characters. I dig more than my fair share of those characters. Max Payne,
Gears of War, Gears of War, Gears of War.
Yeah, Max Payne, Gears of War. Even Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell with Michael Ironside as Sam Bishop.
Oh man, I was so mad when they replaced Michael Ironside. What the actual hell?
I'm under the impression that he can come back.
He's doing the new one.
No, he voiced a cameo role.
God damn it! No, I thought no. I didn't say he was in the last one. I mean, he's gonna be in the next one, isn't he?
Yeah. But all right. So there is no official news of Splinter Cell, despite the fact that I really want there to be another Splinter Cell. But
open a developing a publishing a game developer.
Yeah. No, but definitely, I think if Splinter Cell suddenly became on the cards, like Mike Ironside has already expressed the fact that he's ready and that his relationship with Ubisoft still exists. You know what I mean? Like they're still talking because otherwise they won't have been able to get him for that cameo appearance on Ghost Recon Wildlands. And even when the character was taken over by Eric Johnson for Splinter Cell Blacklist, he was still involved as a consultant.
Yeah, and I think the excuse was he couldn't do the motion capture or something.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, one of my favorite Xbox titles ever is Splinter Cell Conviction, like bar none.
Oh, I love that one too. My God, I love that one so much. That's the Jack Bauer simulator.
Right, exactly. It really was. I was so stressed out by that game.
I gotta show you some video of some expert play of that game. I just saw some this morning while randomly looking around YouTube, and I was like, "Holy crap! This guy did the Andrew Coben mansion mission in under 8 minutes."
I am not gonna do a speed run of Splinter Cell.
No, but you gotta watch the speed run.
Nor will I aspire to it. It's like those maniacs who run through Super Mario Brothers in 8 minutes.
Well, I honestly believe that speedrunning is a young man's game, and once they're over the age of 30, that's it. It's over.
Okay. Earlier you touched on Tomb Raider 2013. I want to talk about that because all the games that we mentioned previously had pre-existing incarnations. All of them were remakes of something, whether it was Final Fantasy or Ducktales or Resident Evil. In this case, Tomb Raider 2013 had none of that. All it had was essentially 20 years of history behind it. 20 years of Lara Croft, arguably the most famous female video game character of all time. And it was a reboot that pretty much ignored almost everything that came before in order to tell a new grounded story about Lara Croft. Someone who's been defined mostly by, her chest size and her British accent than anything else.
Okay, so I wanna go over this because I'm a big Lara Croft nerd now.
Tell us about your strong woman fetish.
No. So the thing about Lara Croft, you said Tomb Raider 2013 was based on quote unquote nothing, and that's absolutely accurate in the sense that when you do a remake or a reinvention, the general habit is to retell an origin story or an existing story. And the thing about Tomb Raider 2013 is that the story is actually not one that had been presented on video game screen before. They actually did one of those reimagining of the first game before. It was called Tomb Raider Anniversary, and Tomb Raider
which I enjoyed.
Yeah, was so when Tomb Raider 2013 showed up, they already did the remaster, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and so this is more like a reinvention of the character.
This is a reboot. This is Star Trek 2009 for Lara Croft.
Well, I think it's also a reinvention of the character because, like you said, the character was defined by her chest size and her British accent. And I think also for some fans who are sincerely in love with the original version of that character. She was a very
I don't think love is the 4-letter L word that you're going for, but yeah, I'll allow it.
So she's a 90s hero. So she's got that thing in common with Xena, Warrior Princess, and lots of other, she's a strong female character, not because they developed her with a complex psychology, but because she's I've got witty one-liners. I laugh at men's faces. I, do crazy extreme things that, basically
don't you besmirch Xena. Xena had more character development than Lara Croft ever had in her first 20 years.
Definitely, but that's the mold Xena's come from. And then she developed because she had 7 seasons of television to make her a very rich, robust character. And boy, you have to check out the YouTube channel for Xena. It suddenly came to life on YouTube, and now they're just dumping like clips, out of context clips of that show all the time on YouTube. It's great. I love it. I consume it like krill.
Such a good show, though. And only 6 seasons, not 7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. No, but
Sorry,
anyway,
Tomb Raider.
So they reinvented the character, and instead of her being sort of like this cocksure, always got a one-liner, cool, person, which is kind of a cartoon, but it's still it's an empowering cartoon. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, bang, bang, cool. This version of Lara Croft is more of like a grounded, like you said, grounded character, a survivor, as the marketing likes to present her as.
Right.
A lot of it, wherein she becomes a strong and capable woman, but it's also presented as a story of overcoming uncertainty and, of overcoming like great challenges, which is, cool. They're two characters who are very different from each other, but they also, exemplify a template of a strong female character.
Well, you're absolutely right on that front, and something I appreciated, because just background for everybody, I remember the day that I was at my friend's house and we booted up this new game called Tomb Raider, and it was the most amazing thing we'd ever seen. In the first 20 minutes alone, you end up gunning down wolves, you avoid Indiana Jones style death traps, and you end up gunning down a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So come on, what was there not to love? And here was this, what you said, the 90s cliche of a strong, independent woman who is defined not by any sort of character or growth or traits that they gave her, so much as she can do whatever a guy can do.
Yeah.
But she's got boobs. Because that was by and large how strong 90s women were depicted before more nuanced depictions in stuff like Buffy or Xena and whatnot. But anyways, the thing was, I mean, if you look at that original Tomb Raider now, aside from the fact that it's incredibly quaint, okay? It's incredibly quaint, and the quaintness was something they did away with by the time they remastered it as Tomb Raider Anniversary, which is essentially the same game, but pretty for the PS3. But the problem was, by that point, there'd been 8, 9 different Tomb Raider games already, and most of them came out like within a year of each other.
Yeah, they did the whole Ubisoft or Activision annual release, grind it out, churn it out strategy.
That's horrible. That was horrible.
But with way less success, with way worse results than any of your mediocre Call of Duties or kind of meh Assassin's Creeds.
Oh God, I had to stop at 3 because I got so sick of it. I had to stop at 3. I think I picked it up again around Tomb Raider Legend a couple of years later. But by that point, they'd already rebooted it, I think, twice. Because they kept changing her backstory. And that's why when they said that they were actually going to do a game centering on a backstory that we'd never seen before, that got my interest. Because for the first time, and when you're playing it, you can see this. For the first time, it makes Lara Croft superhuman, supermodel, gunfighter, archaeologist, Indiana Jones knockoff. She becomes an actual human being.
Yeah. And I think it also tapped into, I think 2013 Tomb Raider came at the right time because it tapped into this sort of nexus of Hunger Games and 127 Hours, wherein there was this sort of era around pop culture that was very fixated on survivalism and sort of violence and fraught circumstances. You know what I mean? So it's kind of this perfect video game for that year, I think.
But I like it because I think you go almost 40 minutes before she actually has to kill a dude.
Yeah.
Because it's something that she has to learn. Something that's forced upon her. She's not an indestructible killing machine when this game starts. She's just as innocent as a globe-trotting adventurer would be before their first kill, I suppose. But,
she's a grad student, basically. I mean,
Right.
I think kudos also to Camilla Luddington the British actress who plays Lara Croft in the mocap and in the voice acting performance of the character. I
didn't know she did the mocap. Oh, I thought she was just a voice. Okay, nice.
Yeah, she did all most of the mocap. I don't think she does every stunt, of course, but enough for key scenes at least. Yeah,
for sure. But here's something I noticed though. There's something interesting. Something just about how entertainment is circular. Okay, if you remember why the developers chose to make Lara female in that first game, because they easily could have just made it, a nondescript Indiana Jones type, like every other Indiana Jones knockoff out there.
Like a cocktail napkin, Nathan Drake.
We'll get to Nathan Drake. Don't worry. But in this case, this is something. This was like they famously said, the developers. They said that if you're going to be staring at somebody's behind for 20 hours on end, then it may as well be a nice behind. So they chose to make her female. And the way they said it was a lot more colorful, a lot more British. But
and they even conceptualized the character as an American of Latina descent at first, because her name was Laura Cruz, I think.
Right.
And then they decided that some people might have difficulty. British people might have a difficulty pronouncing that or something for some reason, and so they changed it to Lara Croft. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. I could be mistaken though on that recollection. I'll have to go check I have a Tomb Raider coffee table book somewhere here. Actually.
I also have a Tomb Raider coffee table book. We have the same coffee table book, don't we?
It's the white one, the 20th anniversary, right?
We have the same coffee table book. Okay, moving on. But the quote I was citing, which I'm sure is in that book, I got it out of Time magazine like 25 years ago when I played the first one, because I remember just being so obsessed with it. And I loved it because I loved the Indiana Jones movies and I loved video games. And here was this character that was essentially a combination of both. Because to this day, Indy hasn't had a decent video game since, I don't know, Fate of Atlantis, which is a point and click. It's not an adventure game. It's not an action game by any stretch. But in any case, so Lara Croft was seen as like an Indiana Jones knockoff, but she was able to build her brand. People fell in love with this character. She was everywhere. She was on the cover of magazines. She got a couple of terrible Angelina Jolie movies out,
Douglas Coupland, famed youth novelist Douglas Coupland, wrote the introduction to her coffee table book or something.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay. But the thing was, by the time that the early 2000s came out, the early to mid 2000s came out, the first decade, Lara Croft was passé for all intents and purposes. Okay, they had the anniversary release, which showed that there was still life in the property, but there were no new titles. Whatever space that Lara had in the pop culture consciousness, as far as video games were concerned, was taken by Nathan Drake. Uncharted filled the hole where Lara Croft used to be, to the point that when the first gameplay footage of Uncharted was shown at E3, people called it Dude Raider because they were calling that a knockoff.
Yeah,
so
they were calling it Dude Raider, and then when the reboot Tomb Raider came out, they were calling it like, oh, she's just Nathan Drake.
I know,
because
exactly
she does
right.
Because she does all that climbing stuff that Nathan Drake loves,
right.
The upper body strength stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. But that's what I mean. Like, entertainment is circular. Okay, she started out as an Indiana Jones knockoff, then she did her own thing. Then all of a sudden, Nathan Drake is a Lara Croft knockoff. And then next thing you know, Lara Croft is a Nathan Drake knockoff.
Time in a flat circle.
It gets tiring. But what I can say, what I can say as to that, as far as that's, there are comparisons to be made between Tomb Raider and Uncharted. But I like to see that in the years where they kind of overlapped, that there were definite learnings from each other. And I appreciated how each one essentially made the other one better. Because, competition's a good thing. And in that case, I didn't mind it because they were both trying to do different things. They're both trying to tell different stories. And, there's plenty of room for, tomb raiding archaeologists who are handy with guns and mystical artifacts.
Yeah. I think that's one of the struggles that has always haunted the Tomb Raider brand prior to the reboot was the fact that Lara Croft became popular in the media through strong marketing and an excitable mainstream press that wanted to sell games like sexy, because this is the rise of lad mag culture. And then there were these games that they were making that weren't necessarily bad, but they weren't really very good either. And I think Eidos Entertainment, Eidos Interactive, and Core Design, the people behind those games, like they didn't know how to marry the mainstream sizzle with the games in a meaningful way. Do you know what I mean? Like harnessing all of that energy that centered around her looks, her sex appeal, her virtual personality, because it's 1999, or her cyber goddessness. They didn't know how to harness that and make it a part of what makes the games appealing also.
That's true. That's why after Lara Croft came out, a lot of game publishers thought they were just enough to put, a busty woman on the cover of the box and it would sell.
Yeah. I mean, they would always look for reasons to put busty women on the cover of box.
Well,
before that, but now they were like, she's got to be the lead protagonist.
Characters. They were rarely main characters.
Exactly. Or they were just bullshit art. You know what I mean? Like there'll be a fantasy role-playing game,
right?
Set in Dungeons and Dragons, and then there'll be an unnamed female character in a chainmail bikini on the cover.
Absolutely. But rightly or wrongly, because of the path that Lara Croft trailblazed, suddenly it was okay to put a woman up front and center and have her be a playable character. So coming back to it all those years later with the Tomb Raider remake 2013, which coincidentally is very recent for me because, again, I've been going through my backlog and replaying a lot of old titles. So I just finished Tomb Raider 2013 2 days ago. So
you got your... Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know
you got your video... I was gonna just joke around and say you've got video games on the brain lately. We haven't really had time in the episode to talk about TV and movies as well.
No, we'll get there, or we can do that another time. It's cool. It's just, it's just that this is relevant because you don't really. I'm happy when I can see a successful reinvention of a classic property, something that can appeal to longtime fans and invite new ones in to see what all the fuss is about. That's why it hurts me when you have things that are remakes only in name. And that's fine if you're remaking something that was garbage in the first place, like the original Ocean's 11. The original is so boring. It was just an excuse for Frank Sinatra and his friends to hang around in Vegas for a month or two. But
isn't that what Adam Sandler does?
That is what Adam Sandler does, but at least Adam Sandler's honest about it.
Now, I would love to see an Ocean's 11 headed up by Adam Sandler.
With Kevin James and David Spade, Rob Schneider with some crazy accent.
That's a remake I will not admit to seeing.
I see. And but 3 million people will watch it on Netflix, so they renew his contract again.
Yeah.
But I love it when a remake is done well. Honestly. And now there's talk that they're going to be remastering old, some of the early 3D Mario games for the Switch. Like we're talking like Mario 64 and I don't know. I think
Mario I think Mario Galaxy and Mario Sunshine even.
Right. The stuff that was on the Wii U.
Why not? I mean, it's going to take a while for the next Mario. Nintendo takes its sweet time releasing new installments of its most marquee franchises. So, but they're going to ride this Switch train as far as they can take them. They might as well.
But aren't they almost always worth the wait?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You just want to capitalize on that,
right? Because
especially since they have to make up for shortfalls that they experienced during the time of the Nintendo Wii U.
I feel bad for the Wii U. I think it doesn't get a fair shake. Mm-hmm. I think it was a decent console with a decent library, a tiny ass library, but decent. Its main sin was being named the Wii U. So everyone just thought it was an upgraded Wii.
Yeah. And that's the problem because people would buy Wii U games for their Wii and then find out they didn't work. Because
who the hell names a console a Wii U with a smiley?
Yeah, it just looks like a nondescript blue square. So if you're a 40-year-old whatever person buying for your kids and you look at the boxes and you're like, oh, it's a Wii game, right?
Right. and it can't be read by it. But that's why it's incredibly gratifying that the Switch has been a home run since day one. And Nintendo is taking the chance to bring out old games that nobody saw because they didn't even bother to give the Wii U a chance. So putting them on this new console is just, it's good stuff.
like Wonderful 101, the Mario Kart 8, all that stuff. Yeah. I think what's also cool about the Switch is that, independent games get re-released all the time and as many platforms as they can find themselves a home. But I think the Nintendo Switch is great because it's giving an opportunity also for the indie games to get re-released there as well. And they're such a natural environment for indie games on the Switch because indie games, like some of the best indie games are visual novels. And sometimes I don't want to sit on my computer, which I'm already on for a very long time in a day.
Yes,
just
you
to
are.
Play a video game. Yeah, just to play a video game that is a visual novel when I can do it on the Switch and lots of other games. So yeah, indie games, check them all out on the Switch. They always have an indie direct every few months, highlighting great new indie games on the platform.
3-point landing.
Oh man, I just remembered something else. There's something else that I was playing around the time that I was playing the original Tomb Raider, and it is also being remastered now.
Oh, what's that?
Command and Conquer.
Ooh, that's right. That's coming out on the Switch.
Dude, Command and Conquer and Red Alert. Those were like some of my formative gaming experiences. I had so much fun.
I'm not sure if I'll spend a lot of time with that to be released, but I'll throw $5 or $10 at it to goof around with it for a couple of hours. Sure, why not?
No, you know what I want to do is I want to get on that and then get on a network and murder new players. That's what I want to do.
I'm not going to say it.
Did you read about that? How how there was crossplay, a crossplay feature on Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. By complete accident, you could play
against
PC players using your Switch. And the only trouble with that is the PC guys had a 17-year head start to learn how to use their lightsabers.
Yep. And we're using mouse keyboard controls, so,
So the kids had no idea what hit them.
So legions of Switch players found themselves murdered and brutalized by PCs who have been waiting their entire life for an expanded player base.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I know there's one remaster that we're both looking forward to. It's either going to be a remaster or a remake. I don't care, but I'm going to get it.
Okay, what is it? What are we talking about? Oh, I'm excited already.
Blade Runner.
That's right. Blade Runner Remastered. Yeah, those two games. Actually, Command and Conquer Remastered and Blade Runner Remastered. Those are two games who share a developer, Westwood Studios. I don't know who's doing the remasterings for both games. Wait, that's wrong. I do know who those are.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
The ones who are doing a Blade Runner Remastered are Night Dive Studios, and the ones who are doing the Command and Conquer Remastered are Petroglyph Studios, who are... But anyway, nerd.
What I like about the Command and Conquer Remasters is that they're being very open and transparent with the community. The resources that they have, the remastering that they're doing, the efforts they have. They're not doing anything without consulting the people who've loved it for like 2 decades now. And it's incredible. The amount of back and forth, the amount of input that real fans can have on something they're going to be spending their money on eventually.
Yeah, I want to get to that. What thing you were saying about the resources thing. Like, I think what's super cool about the Command and Conquer Remastered project. I don't know if you can say the same thing about Blade Runner. We might have to jump over that. The risk of running overtime. Like the Command and Conquer Remastered project is interesting because it's an exercise in archaeology, and because they're sharing all the details of how that remastered process is going, we get to participate and enjoy as fans and viewers and readers in that archaeology. Like, I love the fact that they didn't have the audio files in the quality that they desired.
Right.
So they tracked down the original actress who used to be a production assistant at the old Command and Conquer studio to redo her voice lines. And that was super cool. And, she had taken care of herself in terms of like her voice. So she sounded... Like you can sense a little bit of aging, but by and large, she sounds pretty like close to how she sounded 20 years ago.
Right. And then the same could be said for the audio tracks. They got the original composer to come back and actually remaster, remix, reproduce his original tracks.
I'm sure Frank, most of the, historically speaking, most of the people who have worked with past EA studios, in spite of working with EA, have been willing to come back to the work. So Frank Lapaki coming back to Command and Conquer, to me seems like it was always going to happen, not to take him for granted. In the same way that if you call George Olsey right now and tell him, hey, we need you to do some Wing Commander music, he's gonna fucking do it. Shout out to that Wing Commander box over there in the upper left.
Hey, it's Mark Hamill and Malcolm McDowell.
And the other thing I thought was super cool is that for the videos, all the videos of Command and Conquer, because the game is famous for its full motion video sequences.
Right.
It was one of the few games that was an interactive movie that wasn't a point and click adventure game, and they had the audio stored in I think VHS or tape quality. I think they have some of the film, but it's not great.
No, and they don't. They don't have any of it. That's the problem.
Yeah, and they turned to the online film nerd community to remaster the game.
Right. They've been using AI to upscale the resolution of the footage that they had, because all they had was old MPEGs. They couldn't find the original footage, the original film footage that was shot, which breaks my heart. But on the other hand, I like that it retains that old school pixely feel.
Yeah, but the AI upscaling is you said, it retains the old school look in the sense that it has a fuzziness that is honest to what the material is.
Right.
But the upscaling also makes it so that it looks viable on a 1920 by 1080 on a modern monitor.
That's true.
So that's going to be cool. I've seen the video upscaling stuff and it looks super cool.
I saw it. So, it looks great. It looks great. But I mean, it's clearly not up to, the standards that I would prefer personally. You know me, I like my Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And I like my HD. But in this case, it fits.
Mm-mm. And so that's what I want to see moving forward. I want to see after all these remakes, from Final Fantasy VII Remake all the way to Command and Conquer Remastered, I would love to see more stories about the process of remaking games, not just the technical aspects and the whole what it takes to make things better,
right?
But also the historical part of uncovering its stuff and the creative part of relitigating past decisions and saying, well, we made those decisions at the time because we thought they were the best. Now we're revisiting it. Do these choices need to be remade? Do they need to be reconsidered? And I think that's what art and pop culture entertainment, is really all about. Is trying to make some of the best quality entertainment for everybody in a way that, makes everybody happy and makes everybody feel great.
Absolutely. And the thing about remakes is that even if they don't turn out entirely the way that old fans may have hoped, 9 times out of 10, you can always go back to your old standbys. They're not going anywhere. You can always load up an emulator or go onto Steam and look for your old favorites, and they'll be they'll be just the way you remember them.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, what for me personally, what I like to see from my entertainment, whether it's on the big screen or it's on a video game console or if it's on a PC or whatever, I just want to see something that doesn't insult the viewer, something that doesn't insult the player. Whether or not they know everything that came before or whether they're coming in cold, they deserve to be entertained. Because otherwise, what the hell are you plopping down your money for, right?
It's the solace we need in these times.
These trying times.
I
swear, if I hear these trying times and the new normal one more time, God.
Oh my God, yeah. Anyway, I think that has been an episode.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I have been Matthew.
I'm Misha. Come back next time when we talk about remakes and remasters of old movies and TV shows. Hopefully, we remember this by the time it comes when we have to record.
This has been 3 Point Landing, signing off. This episode of 3 Point Landing was produced, recorded, and distributed under quarantine by Big Baby Studios. Follow us on Facebook at 3 Point Landing PH.